Welcome to Wildly Rooted Living. I'm your host, Alysha and today I have a special guest with me, Vanessa Lamorte. And I asked her to come on here today to talk about her work with flower essences and kind of her journey with that, and also how this can help us through our day to day, whether our everyday lives or in pregnancy, birth, postpartum. Because those are things I kind of talk about um, in all of my platforms. So, welcome, Vanessa. Thank you for coming on today.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited. This is
Yeah.
fun.
Um, so what initially drew you to flower essences? How'd you hear about them?
Wow, we're taking it back. Well, it was probably 2013 or 2014. And when I first started working with flower essences, like for myself. And I knew about them, but I want to say it was my Reiki master training 20 February of 2014 that year. Because I know that I went to New York. I live in Las Vegas, Nevada, here in the States. I went to New York to train with my teacher, Nicole Casanova, who is now a dear sister and friend. And I remember walking down the streets of Brooklyn, and she was like, "Let's go to this like apothecary." And because she was feeling like, oh, I feel like to support your Reiki master journey, you could work with flower essences. And I knew about them. I was like, I'm trying to actually pinpoint, had I taken one at that point yet? I don't think so. So yeah, we went in there and she picked a few for me. And my first, yeah, so those would have been those. Um, rock rose, which was for fear and just different kinds of fears. Mimulus, also for fear, in a different way. So, one is like known fears, one is unknown fears, and at the moment I'm confusing which one goes where, but there's a difference. And then impatience, which is a flower, which sounds like what it is. It's for impatience, like when you're not patient. So, yeah, those were the top three, and I took those for a while. And so that was 2014. Yep. And then like 2019 came around and I have such a long story if you want to hear it about how because I never really intended to teach or intended to be a practitioner.
Yeah.
It just like fell in my lap. And it's just so funny how things like will come to you like that.
Yeah.
But but yeah, I was actually at a place here in Las Vegas. It's north of Las Vegas by like 45 minutes, but called the Sekhmet Temple. And I was doing some work there, some volunteer work under their priestess program, and they focus on goddess spirituality there. And there was a woman who came, and she was from New Mexico. Her name was Genevieve, and she was staying there, and I was helping to shepherd and host, and because you could like stay on the property. And she looked at me and she was like, I feel like you need to study flower essences. And I was like, well, I've taken some, like I have some, basic, experience with it, but I've never thought about being a practitioner. And she was just like, no, I feel them so strongly for you. And she was like, at that point, she was like, I've been a practitioner for 30 years. And she's like she could just hear the flowers talking to her.
Yeah. Wow.
And just like boom. And so yeah, then I started this journey with her and she was like, I'll mentor you. And she was kind of on the outro of her own practice. So she's like, this is the perfect time. And I ended up inheriting a lot of the amazing remedies that she has had that are now mine. So anyways, that's the gist. That's the beginning story of that. And it's opened up a whole world for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's funny, like I think a lot of people too don't realize that they probably know what flower essence is. Like me, I didn't know what it was till I heard you talk about it um on Christine's podcast. And and then I was like, oh,
Uh-huh.
I've used this before with Rescue Remedy. Like,
Oh yeah.
yeah, you know what I mean? Like box.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So like growing up, it's a funny little story, but our um our Chihuahua, she had epilepsy, and a seizure would be triggered by anxiety.
Oh,
So we would give her a rescue remedy, and it would like
oh,
either make her seizure stop quicker
mhm,
or not make her not have one because that's usually if she got really anxious, that's what would happen. So
mhm.
yeah, and then when I kind of put together, oh, that's what that is, like it
That's
was just kind of
amazing.
yeah, it's kind of interesting, right? How powerful just something so simple like that can be.
Yeah.
Um
Wow.
yeah. And so you got into it that way, and then you'd like to make your own kind of little blends and stuff, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so I started the process like in my training. So like it was like a 3 month intense like apprenticeship, and I ended up going to New Mexico and studying with her for like in person for a weekend, and then we were doing calls. Like it was like really, really in-depth, intensive and like focused training. And um every practitioner kind of does things differently. So kind of, I mean, if you don't know what flower essences are, I should define. We should talk about it briefly, but
Yeah.
they are vibrational remedies. And so they're not homeopathy and they're not herbalism. So we're not talking about taking tinctures or teas or like anything like in that form. I'll show you what I have here, which is actually my flower essence club blend that needs to get shipped out. But this one's called Solstice Light. It's a blend. So things come in like a dropper bottle and of various sizes, but it's captured in liquid and we're taking the DNA of the flower and we're using sunlight, usually sometimes moonlight, depends on the practitioner to imbue their DNA or vibration into the water. And that's making essences, I would say, is a very sacred process, like such a sacred process. There's a lot that's involved, a lot of intentionality, a lot of integrity, like really making sure that we're not like touching the flower. We're like, I'm capturing with like cotton gloves or a paper towel so that what we're making is truly just the flower and it's not, my projection of the day or something like that.
Yeah.
Um, so in brief, that's what a flower essence is, and then we can take that internally, we can diffuse it, we can put it in the bath, and there's all these ways to change in our electrical system. So like supporting our emotional body, our mental bodies, our spiritual bodies. But yes, I make essences and I make blends. So that was what I showed you. Solstice Light is a blend of a few different, actually, there's tree essences. So that one's oak, it's cedar, pine, Douglas fir, a mushroom essence, which is the Amanita red cap mushroom, and then a flower called swamp candles. So,
Never heard of.
and yeah, they're really cool. Like, it's like a super, super whimsical vibration. But swamp candles are actually for dark night of the soul, or like that deep, deep, like internal heaviness that can happen and helping us to illuminate and to be light, which is perfect for this time of year for those of us in the northern hemisphere.
Yeah.
So making essences by hand, making blends, and yeah, facilitating consultations. That's kind of what that this part of my work looks like, and teaching.
Amazing.
Yeah. I
Um,
went on a tangent. I'm sorry. I'm like,
no, no, no. I love it. This is what you're here for.
yeah.
Um, so how how would you use them like in your everyday life? Like, is there certain ones that you kind of um gravitate towards and feel like you're tried and true?
Oh yeah. It's interesting at this point in my journey. So, flower essences, I would say, are classified under, for me and for a lot of people, under plant spirit work. We're really working with the spirit or the energy of a plant, the vibration of a plant. And so sometimes it is about taking, like actually imbibing the essence. Sometimes it's just like I'm carrying a bottle with me, or sometimes it's just like really holding an awareness of a flower really close. And excuse me, that can get kind of like subtle and abstract, but my everyday really looks like meditating with flowers in some way, shape, or form. So like as far as who it's I'm very close to rose. I'm very close to all roses.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I love Rose. Rose speaks to me like beyond.
Yeah. And it makes sense for this type of work as far as like birth work or
Yeah.
postpartum work. And, you know, they call her the mother of the flowers often.
Hmm.
So there's divine mother archetype that comes in with Rose. But what's really special to me about the roses is that every rose has like a slightly different frequency vibration,
Okay.
you know? So like yellow roses, like classically this stuff kind of comes from the Victorian era of the language of flowers and like how they would create a bouquet to gift like but the yellow rose is like for friendship and
Oh,
the red rose could be seen as like romantic love, and while the pink magenta rose could be seen as like for beauty and admiration, and the white rose could be seen for peace and grief, healing. And so these are just like, you know, touching in on the subtle different vibrations. It's all kinds of love, right? Like rose, we know, I feel like everyone kind of can feel that. But like what kind of love are we talking about? So yeah, I feel like rose is near and dear to me during the day. And then, you know, time, like I go through periods of time where it's like, oh yeah, I'm really working with something, or I'm really holding a plant spirit close to me. Like when I was in a preconception phase with my son Ollie, I was so close to Amanita mushroom. That
yeah.
was an essence I took. Yeah, like the red cap mushroom. Like
Yeah.
it just always came in, and like this is before I was pregnant. Now it's just that was a daily connection for me. And it's just so funny, or not, and this is just how life is. He's born, whatever, everything happens, and he's a toddler, and he's just like, "Oh, I love this." And he'll point to little mushrooms, or I just love gnomes. I'm like, I wonder why, There's funny connections,
Yeah.
in these stories. So, yeah, I would say different periods of time there's different things that I've worked with. I would say rose is kind of like, because I grow roses too. That definitely shapes the experience. I grow three different varieties: bewitched rose, a dream come true rose, and a angel face rose. So, I'm always like checking on my rose. Right now, I still have a bewitched rose blooming, and that's a big deal because I'm like it's December and it's getting cold, and I mean not as cold as where you are, but desert cold.
Yeah, it's pretty cold. It's freezing rain and wild winds out there right now.
Oh my gosh. I'm like kind of jealous because like I would like that experience, but also I'm like I can only handle so much because I'm used
Yeah.
to the blazing heat.
Oh yeah, yeah. It would be a shock for you, I'm sure.
So, Rose, yeah, I would say for now.
Yeah, yeah. No, I love that. And I think every phase of life, something else kind of speaks to us, right? So it's, yeah.
Definitely. Yeah.
Um, and so what would be like recommendations you would have for like through preconceptions, through postpartum and beyond kind of thing for women and motherhood?
I think it's so unique to each person and what they're going through.
Yeah.
And so just kind of like
Like
framing,
yeah, like common things I would say, things I talk about a lot is like there's a lot of anxieties
yes.
and stress. Um, and
Hmm.
sorry, this beautiful outside right now is making my connection a little spotty, but um, yeah,
That's all
stress.
good.
And then I feel like, as we know, we're kind of in birth and postpartum, we're kind of in this like spacey other world, but there's like so much going on.
Hmm.
Do you say there
Hmm.
is like something specific that would help women through that time?
Let me see here. I literally wrote, I mean, I'm actually rounding out the month 3 of a practitioner training, and there's an entire section in my workbook on this. And I'm like, I'm just gonna pull it up because off the top of my, there are so many,
Yeah.
but off the top of my head, I'm like, oh, I can think of like 3, but like to be more specific, and I'm like, I have the information like at my fingertips. So I would say, just to start the conversation, one of the things that I love to tell people, women to work with, is magnolia, is white magnolia.
Hmm.
She is actually like one of the oldest flowers, if not the oldest flower that we know of. And so she brings this incredible wisdom. And magnolia in general is a flower for um like if men were to, anyone can take this, but it's great for shielding against like electromagnetic frequencies and like any kind of negative frequency that would be harmful or damaging or just not promoting health. And so on a physical level, on an emotional and mental and spiritual level. So that's one thing that I would say is that magnolia is something that I tell people to work with. I'm like looking for this. Where did this go? If I don't find it, then I'll just talk. But the other one for anxieties specifically, and this comes out of the Edward Bach. So Bach flower essences are probably the most widely known and common and popular, like what you're talking about, rescue remedy, that
Yeah.
comes out of Bach's material. He really made flower essences popular and brought it to the West as far as, our Western consciousness in like the 1930s. And rescue remedy is like a 5 flower blend. Anyone could use rescue remedy. I would say it's even fine for pregnant women to take. Um, you know, at any point because it covers like shock and grief and anxiety. But there's one in there called cherry plum. And cherry plum is just incredible for helping to ease anxiety of all kinds. So if it was the anxiety around getting pregnant,
Hmm.
I feel like cherry plum is a really great remedy just to start to ease into that process.
Yeah.
Um, because anxiety means we're living in the future, right? Like we're projecting ourselves outside of the present moment. Whereas we might say in psychology, depression is more about living in a past experience. And so, yeah, I would say cherry plum is great for anxiety, like things to come. You have birth anxiety. There's what's going to happen next. I don't know how to meet this stage. Will I be a good mother? Like all these things that happen.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I would say cherry plum, um, ginger essence actually is very great for morning sickness.
Okay.
Yeah, and I had some success with that at the beginning. So I'm pregnant now, expecting baby two,
Yeah.
and had some success with that. Yeah, and the first trimester that was wildly different than my son.
Yeah, it's so wild how every pregnancy can be so different, right?
Yeah, and they say that what's interesting about the ginger flower essence is that they say that why it might affect morning sickness, because we're talking about something energetic affecting something physical, is that it actually clears the auric field on an
Okay.
energetic level, making like opening up the channels and the nadis and the meridians in the if you follow like Chinese medicine
Yeah.
language. Um, so they say that that's why ginger essence is has like might have a positive effect on morning sickness because it can help things flow.
Okay.
Not that I would say really, I don't I don't know that I've seen a great body of material about anybody knowing much about morning sickness or how to deal with it, you know. I
Yeah.
mean, from an Ayurvedic perspective, I know that there's panchakarma and there's different
Yeah.
things that people can do, but that's above my training. So like I can't speak eloquently on it. So yeah, ginger, and then what else? Cherry plum, magnolia, ginger. Those are the top three. That's what I was saying. I have top three on my head. Um, there are quite a few for, so you asked about just like all stages of
Yeah, like
the experience.
yeah, like all the the things that all come up whenever we're going to become pregnant and we're pregnant and in birth and postpartum. Like there's things that yes, there's everyday things. There's everyday things, but there's also like there's it's specific to that, like right? Like yes, there's anxieties of life, but I feel like anxiety in like motherhood is like a whole other level. You know what I mean?
Sorry, I muted myself for the background sound. I was just saying, yeah, mother. So I make a blend called Oh Mama, and there are a lot in that essence blend, but like specifically peach flower, I
Mm,
included there to meet the mother because peach is about bringing sweetness
okay.
and a sense of like that. Imagine the summer like a juicy peach. The vibrational quality of peach flower essence really brings sweetness and appreciation and gratitude for like what is. And so it has this softening quality. Um, Another like one in that blend specifically that I included because I was like, I just feel like moms carry so much. Like your mind is everywhere.
It's
And
everywhere.
obviously, there's so many things that you're handling. Every stage of motherhood is different. So like the newborn mother is going to be different than the mother who's supporting a 15-year-old. But I would say what's common across all stages of motherhood is this incredible ability to support and hold multidimensionality, you know. Maybe you're the person who's taking care of the home the most, or maybe you also work, or maybe you're stay at home. Like there's all these different, things, the juggling act of the mother and how to do that. So another one that I really love is glow mallow, which is a desert flower that we grow here in the Mojave Desert. But glow mallow is like this cup. It grows like when we say globe, it like actually looks like a little um, globe spherical cup, and they're actually edible flowers. They have like a sweet, earthy flavor. Our desert native bees will, from when they're pollinating and traveling, they'll actually go and rest and sleep in the glow mallow. And so it's like adorable. Sometimes you'll see it like it's adorable, just
So
like
cute.
taking a chill pill. And so taking a note from the bees, it's like that's what that's about. Glow mallow is about getting a break and
Yeah,
rest and nourishment. And it has a softening quality. It really asks us to take things slower. Um, yeah, those I would say like the two top ones that I mean out of that blend that off the top of my mind right now that I would speak to because um yeah, I think we can just get caught up in like all of the to-dos and the tasks and everything that's going on and
yeah,
not forgetting we are individual people and beings with our own interests and
yeah.
um, creative pursuits and all of the things. So I feel like it's those are two that are really great for that, for sure.
Amazing. Yeah,
Yeah.
that sounds lovely. Um, no, it's true. We and I think talking about it more helps people realize like we do a lot as moms, and
Yeah.
sometimes we need those little extra supports to kind of calm us and bring us back into reality for a minute because we kind of do. We get all up in I like to say like I have all these tabs open in my brain and it's like
Hmm.
it's always like a running to-do list because I am my own worst enemy and I like to keep myself a little too busy.
For sure.
Yeah, and so having those little things that can like anchor you, and I think like the flowers and specifically like it's powerful. Like I know when I make myself up like a blend of tea before bed, I always make myself a tea before bed and it's
Hmm.
whatever I'm feeling. And it's usually there's always rose in it. But
Hmm.
then it's just kind of it's what calls me like and I love the florals because I love smelling my tea while I'm drinking my tea. Like it's just
Oh
one of those
yeah.
things, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think if we find those little cute meaningful things that like mean a lot because herbs and florals can do a lot more than we think they do.
Absolutely.
And so yeah, that's why I think it's can be such powerful medicine if we know the intentionality behind it too.
And I would add that so we're talking about my flower essence work. My background is in transpersonal psychology, and that's the study of making meaning and life purpose. And so, in terms of like a meaning making process and creating a meaningful, full life, whatever that means for each person, I do feel like flowers and flower essences are amazing at supporting that. It's not like because I think sometimes we could take it really granular and be like, okay, I want that specific flower essence for that specific reason, and we can do that. That's amazing.
Yeah.
There's a flower for everything, truly. But then I think sometimes people will ask the question, well, let's say where you are. I live up in the northeast and in Canada, right? I'm I don't have access to Globe Mallow unless I'm gonna like purchase something and have it shipped and like
Yeah.
how accessible is that? And I always like to say like we ought to form relationships with plants and things where we are,
Mhm.
you know, and get to know like place, of course, but then not forgetting we can call upon the energy of a plant at any moment of time when we need it. But flower essences, regardless, I think help to frame our experience. So even if you were to get a couple that you were just drawn to, because like our health food stores here carry them, at least Bach, and just like getting a couple or going online and finding a couple, like not needing to go crazy about it, but like working with one and really seeing like what that's like. We call it subtle medicine because it may not have like an immediate, you might not realize it has an immediate effect.
Yeah.
And then in hindsight go, oh wow, something has really changed. Sometimes it does. Like I don't want to say that's what someone's experience will be, because sometimes it is really the immediate vibrational shift is apparent. But overall, I feel like flowers and like living closely to flowers has helped me to slow down just
Yeah.
overall, and recognize that there's a different pace, there's a different consciousness, there's a different way to live and to feel.
Yeah.
Makes me notice, who's growing around me if I go for a walk. Like, oh, this like and why am I drawn to that? Like, how did I notice you little tiny thing over there? That process of color and smell, like that's how flowers draw us in, and it's a sacred technology for a reason,
Oh yeah.
so not discounting those experiences.
Definitely. That reminds me of I don't know if I told you this before, but I worked a summer at a flower farm and
Oh yeah,
yeah, and that was
dream
like
job.
it was, even though it's beyond hard work, like being a farmer of anything, being a farmer of flowers is hard work because you got to keep those things beautiful. But
Yeah.
working around them is like medicine. Like it's just the
Yeah.
best thing. The colors, the scents, like just the shapes. And then when you're out in the fields too, there's the wildflowers that are growing behind the scenes, and those are things we would collect as well for the bouquets. And
Wow.
then I like whenever be a few years now, I've started to get like used to like finding what like grows that's medicinal plants out in the wild on PEI. So I'm
Nice.
getting more familiar with that. But then when I worked at the flower farm, um, even more so because there was so much growing, and then I'd be like, oh, this is this, and I know this does this, and it was
Mm.
just really cool. And yeah, like I don't know how else to describe how beautiful it is to be surrounded by flowers all day. Um,
Yeah.
like growing in the ground or cut. And yeah, it's just the most peaceful thing to be out in nature and doing that. I think people do need to sit with nature and flowers more.
Hmm.
Yeah, because it really
I,
shows you the beauty that's out there when you're not thinking about it.
I think that's like a central message to working with flowers is beauty.
Yeah.
And I call so nectar of the heart is kind of like I call it perennial mystery school is like what, kind of like my flower essence work is under, but it's not just flower essence work, it's also like teaching on the seasons and intentional living with nature and um I call it the beauty. It's a study of the beauty way. And it's like, how do you create a beautiful life? Not just like through your eyes, like not just like aesthetic beauty, which is part of it, but um, like how, the quality of feeling of beauty. And it's interesting because before flowers, I would say I don't know that I was that calibrated to or attuned to that awareness.
Hmm.
And there's something really incredible about flowers because we're seeing the end of a bloom is the end of a plant's life cycle, right? Like
Yeah.
at least not, and the plant may be perennial and come back, but um we're seeing it went from seed and now there's bloom. Um if it fruits then you would say fruit. But like, you know, the impermanence of things
Yeah.
and appreciating what is like it really brings us into the present moment. um and asks us to be aware and present to what's right before us, and the acknowledgement that once you cut that bloom, it has only so long,
Hmm.
and like, well, appreciate it,
Yeah.
admire it, appreciate it. That always really gets me about flowers.
Yeah. No, it's a beautiful thing. It reminds me I had heard some woman online had said something along the lines of like she would cut a bouquet of flowers for as long as she could till it was cold outside. And
Mhm,
she would sit every morning with her coffee and just stare at the flowers and appreciate them until they were gone. And
mhm,
she said, when I started doing that, I gained so much peace in my life because I was truly intentionally like living and seeing life and the beauty of it and also how things eventually do end. So
mhm.
it's like she was taking that moment to appreciate everything before it's gone, right?
Absolutely.
And I thought
Yeah.
it was so sweet. I was like, that is such a like amazing little thing. And I think we do need that reminder to like slow down and literally smell the roses. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, because
Simple
that's
ritual.
yeah,
Yeah. So simple.
I know. It's like just these little intentional things that I think in this day and life we're always hustling, bustling, but I think we do need to find those little things that root us so
Hmm.
that we do see the beauty in what we have in this world, right?
Hmm. No,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. And on the mother path, I feel like it's even more like of awareness for me, to carry that
Yeah.
quality of being. I'm also a very ambitious person. I think I don't know what word you use, but like, you have a lot of interests and there's a lot of energy, to do things. And um, I mean, you especially. I mean, seeing this woman at work in the kitchen, oh my gosh. Wow. Kitchen witch. Um, kitchen fairy. But like, um, that all come like that all comes with something though too, because it's like, well, there's all this energy and interest, and then there's also mothering, and if you're in a partnership and like just all of it. um and then how do you resource, right? Like, how do you support, how do you resource, how do we keep things regenerative, for us to be able to do all those things and meet the day and meet all of the things that we're involved with. And I do think that flowers help us to resource, like that simple ritual of, I'm just going to watch the flowers every morning with my coffee. That's beautiful.
Yeah. I thought it was like
That's
the most beautiful thing ever. I was like,
next level.
it's like one of those things that like make you cry, you know what I mean?
Yeah, because like,
Yeah.
who's doing that? I don't know. I mean, I don't know people who are doing it that often,
No.
you know?
No. I don't
Yeah.
think anybody takes the time to do that. Like even if you were to sit outside in your backyard and appreciate nature, it's just this like, you know what I mean?
Yes. Just
And
slow it
how
down.
yeah, slow down. Like that's the thing too. 'Cause yeah, I say it all the time. I'm like, I don't understand how my child's 4, right? Because we're zooming past everything, right? I know you can empathize with
Yeah.
that. We're
Yeah.
just like zooming through and then you take a second and you look at them and you're like, whoa, your whole face has changed. When did that happen? Or you like shot up 2 inches. When did that
Yeah.
happen? And it's
I
like
know.
those moments that we don't even think about. So yeah, like I think definitely we need to find those anchors and things that keep us a little intentional and pay attention to the things before we're like, whoa, when did that happen? You know?
Mhm. Yeah, I have a story on that. I was sitting at the table, at my kitchen table, and whoa, I'm like spinning in my chair. Wow. We got too excited about this story. Um, I fall in my chair. I'm so excited. Um, I was sitting at the kitchen table and it faces my rose garden. And I saw this bewitched rose coming up, and she's like a really like a true pink, almost like a bubblegummy pink color. And I saw her coming up and I was like, "Oh my gosh. I thought we were done." And with the roses this season, but like, wow. And like, it's interesting when a bloom, like, it, I don't know how to explain it. Almost like the bloom like faced me. I'm like, did the wind blow? But it was like, is she looking at me? And
Yeah.
it was just through the window. Through the window. I'm like, for those listening, it's like, okay, does this sound a little woo-woo? Probably. But like, truly, it's this connection of like, we're making a connection. And she told me something, it was so profound, which was, or it just like came into my mind, which I would say is the plant spirit, doing plant spirit work. And it was this message around how it is so painful for people sometimes to move on from things or to surrender to things or to let go because we never fully enjoyed what we had.
Yeah.
Like the desire, like being in the desire of whatever it is and then enjoying it when it's here. And then we never fully get to enjoy that or let ourselves enjoy that. And then it's painful to move on because we still want that thing. And I was like it just didn't feel like my own, that's not what I was thinking. It didn't feel like my own thoughts. And I was so thankful that that came forth because it reminded me of motherhood and how, like, in the early days, it was like, oh, I just wish you would stop crying. I wish that there weren't so many
Mhm.
diapers. You kind of start, not to project the you, the me, um, was wishing away these things that were like, oh, it was so hard. And there's
Yeah.
this and there's that. And then the time moves and it passes, and you go, oh, I miss that version. Like I
Yeah.
still have my kid. It's not like I'm grieving my child because it's like still here. But
Yeah.
oh, I miss the 18-month-old. He was so cute and he did these things and he couldn't, do
Yeah.
this, like just all that stuff. But I'm like, that feeling for me, I like really recognizing that hit me probably pretty hard around when my son was 2 and he's 4.5 now.
Yeah.
But I was like, I have a hard time moving on from these stages because I'm not letting myself fully enjoy them as a mother.
Yeah.
I'm getting caught up in the stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, that really changed me. And so like I started at that point really trying to work with my own shadow or my own stuff around whatever comes up, my anxieties or my triggers or my impatience, all of the things. I'm like, should I take impatience again? You know,
Yeah.
all of that, to be like, well, this stage is going to be gone. And I'm going to really wish that I was way more present for what this gift is. I
Hmm.
know that about myself.
Yeah.
So let's just do it. And it's still a work in progress. But literally this message, probably this was 2 weeks ago. So like that message from the flower, it's like I'm still getting
Yeah.
that message, but it just hit me so deliberately that I was like, wow, that's true. Like, well, that
Yeah.
feels like truth to me. So, this is, I think, the benefit of working with flowers. When I
Yeah.
say working with, it's like such a broad, thing.
Yeah. No,
So,
I love that. I love that message. It's very beautiful. And I empathize with a lot of it. Like I that speaks true for me too, of those hard early years. And then you look back and yeah, it's almost like grieving. You grieve what you missed out on because you're just moving so quickly.
yeah.
Yeah. Um, so yeah, no, that was really great. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, of course.
Um, well, amazing. Thank you so much for sharing everything.
Of course, I could just talk for days. Other questions? I'm like, my gosh.
Yeah. Oh, do you want to speak a little bit about your other work? Because I think that's
Sh-
fascinating too.
Sure, yeah, like I feel like it's all interwoven. I was gonna say, like just 2 seconds ago, I was like, I hope I'm doing this conversation justice, like around the flowers, because I feel like it's a pretty vast topic, honestly.
Yeah.
Um, Taking remedies, I think, can be quite simple, like as far as like, well, if you're experiencing something, whatever it is, then you could
Yeah.
take this. And like treating oneself, it's very, self-explanatory, I feel like, in that way. And the other thing I want people to know who are going to be listening to this is that flower essences, because they're vibrational, don't contraindicate like medications that you might be taking or um any herbs that you're other things that you're taking. Like they can be layered,
Yeah.
onto your supplemented to what your what is the word, like your wellness plan.
Yeah.
So I think that's another really great thing about flower essences, like the actual physical bottle, um and how you can work with them. But yeah, my other work, I mean, that looks like what we could call coaching. I have a master's in transpersonal psych. It's never been like clinical or therapy. It's never been that direction. Um, and I would say I'm not really a life coach in like that way. I mean, it looks like coaching, but it's really this, excuse me, this liminal thing, that I like to say is like its own place, which is really helping people to process. My work with it's a lot of women. I work with men too sometimes, but is processing the liminal space and transitions and that kind of gray area of life, like not quite here, I'm not quite there. The process of like becoming. Um, we're always becoming. I feel like we're always
Yeah.
evolving. So it's like it can be very uncomfortable though sometimes. And like speaking to motherhood, like postpartum space, like that is an identity integration going from, especially for new mothers, like it could be like whiplash for some people if they're not, depending on the type of experience. I know it was for me, but like I went from working at home for my whole 20s, and early 30s on, on my own, kind of just having a very free life to like now you are
Yeah.
here. That was very hard for me. So that became some really, deep work. And it's been my work with transpersonal psych, and like one-on-one sessions and consciousness courses and retreats has been just supporting people through transitions, living intentionally, finding meaning. I teach dream work for that reason. So, like, literally working with dreams, because there's so much rich information, and your
Yeah.
dreams it's your unconscious tailored to you, bringing you messages. And I always like to say this is like a very transpersonal psych thing to say, but like every dream is designed to help bring you back to wholeness. Like,
Mhm.
just whatever it is, even the little tidbit, like why, well, some people will be like, well, I just dream about zombies. Haha. That's because I like zombie movies. And I'm like, okay, but like let's think about it for a second, because this is me in a dream class. I'm like, well, zombies signify the walking dead. So what part of you, if it were my dream, I always say, if it were my dream, I might say, what part of me is dead or latent in my waking life
Mhm.
that I need to revive, or I need to really look at, what's just hanging out.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
then you could take that so many places, that
Yeah.
meditation.
I think,
And
sorry,
go
I
ahead.
think dreams are more powerful too than we think. Like it's our subconscious is telling us stuff, right? Like,
Yeah,
yeah, things
all
that
day
we don't
long.
want to
I
piece
mean,
together or can't quite articulate. So I
yeah.
think it's important sometimes for people like you to help break that down with people. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. That's what I mean by liminal. Like I love that liminal space of bridging things, bridging concepts, or seeing how I think a lot of people get down on themselves and they realize they're thinking, I don't get it, I'm stuck, I'm blocked, that languaging. And I love to help people realize like, no, 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 you're receiving so much
Hmm.
input, you are getting it. It's just kind of turning your head, right? Turning the perspective,
Yeah.
creating flexibility of mind, flexibility in your emotions to see something new about yourself, um, and discover, be curious, which is very much like the path of the child, right? Like staying curious and open. So I would say that's like the transpersonal work, and I work a lot with sound. So I've been a lifelong musician. Um, and so I'm trained in like classical voice, piano, and violin. And then in my early 20s, I was like, I really feel like I want to bring this, I want to like try sound healing. I started seeing people working with crystal bowls. This is like 2013. So I got my first crystal bowls at that time. And I was just like, how do I merge, my musician background with this work? And that became really incredible. And before that, I was a yoga teacher, and I was already teaching meditation. So it seemed like a natural, you know,
Yeah.
jump. But that became a really like delicious space to bring people into as far as like relaxation and nervous system nourishment and just quieting things down. And I would say my at this everyone does sound differently, and it's so popular now. Like I can't like almost like wow, we have grown so much in this work. Like,
Yeah.
I would always have to explain like what a crystal bowl was to people back in the day.
Yeah.
Now it's like everyone knows what that is. I'm like, okay, great. We don't have to have that conversation. But
Yeah.
it's so wild. But like it's journey like for me. So when I offer some sound healing, it takes people on a journey, and I mean I think any sound bath can. I just think mine take on a specific quality and really helping people to go into themselves. I think all of my work, whether it's sound or it's transpersonal psych or it's flower essences, I mean Ayurvedic postpartum doula work, all of it. I'm like, there's probably other things I'm forgetting. I mean, I work with the tarot. I work like there's just, different
Yeah.
tools in the bundle, but everything is for creating liberation and freedom inside the self, you
Mm,
know,
yeah.
and helping people to really connect into their spirit and spirit or God or a higher power, whatever people believe in, um, letting that process unfold and letting having a lot of acceptance for what is. Like we cannot really move forward um, in a healing process unless we really accept like what is and relax. Those are
Yeah.
the first things, and so it's always creating some supportive environment for that and helping people realize they're not alone in things, creating a lot of community,
Yes. Yeah. A hundred
you know.
percent. It's a big mission for me, of trying to like get people back to to community.
Mhm.
And like I like to say, we all want a community, but we're not willing to be part of a community.
Yeah, that's a
And
real thing.
yeah, and that's the thing about being open is like you have to put yourself out there to hopefully get what you're trying to receive, right? Like if you want something, you kind of got to give that out there too, so that you can feel what that is like. Like for me to be present and there for you in those hard times, you're going to be grateful and hopefully give that back to me. Um,
Hmm.
but we don't know if that's going to happen if we don't try. And I feel like a lot of people are so scared to try to open themselves up to newness and opportunity and being vulnerable with people that we are
Hmm.
missing community because of that. Um,
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it's so important to find those people for you in your life because
Hmm.
we're not supposed to do life by ourselves. And
Mm-mm.
we even like if you have partners in life and they can't be everything for you either, right? Like
Right.
it's one of those things. So yeah, I think it's really important for people to have an openness around everything in life and whatever comes for them and receive that message in a way. And if they are craving that community, then
Hmm.
we have to be a little bit comfortable with being uncomfortable, um,
Hmm.
to try new things, right?
Absolutely.
With everything.
Yeah.
Everything's hard at first, right?
That's, but I don't want to. I don't want to feel uncomfortable. Ugh.
It's the worst feeling, but it's like everyone feels it, and then it gets a little easier.
No, it's absolutely true. We don't, human beings, I feel like, are creatures of comfort and creatures of habit.
Yeah.
It's like, well, this habit and this routine makes me feel good and comfortable. It's known.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
what I know.
Yeah.
And then also there's like it's so fascinating. Like we want to like speaking just to collective, ways that we do things. It's like, but I also want to do this thing and I want to experience this feeling and I want to do that. I'm thinking about the person who wants a lover or partner, but it's like I don't really like the process of dating. Well,
Yeah.
you know, it's just acknowledging and you could take this message in any direction, but like just acknowledging the bridge or the distance, like what is that and what's it going to be? What's it going to look like? It may require you to be very different, or to do things very differently. Um, and that requires a level of courage.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I I'm like I'm thinking of flowers actually right now for courage. I'm like, "Oh yeah. Oh, sunflower is so great for courage."
I love
You
that.
know, helping us face the sun to continue to move in that direction of the solar, the sun, the life-giving energy. That's the sunflower and message.
Yeah.
But, when you feel like you don't have it, don't have the energy or don't have the courage to face something or like, can I actually make this change?
Yeah.
Even like working out or whatever it is, sunflower is a great one.
Oh, that's
So,
awesome. I love so
yeah,
so much.
I do too. I'm like, hi. I just feel like they're so big. Like, I mean, they grow quite large, at least, I mean, I think everywhere, but definitely here. I'm like, you're my friend.
Yeah. On the farm, we would the ones that were way too big to be putting in a bouquet, we would make little smiley faces out of them, and they'd be a
Oh,
happy little thing whenever we get out on the field. Like
I love that. You like would put eyes on them?
we would take like their seeds and we'd scrape them out and make like a,
Oh,
a little smiley face.
that's so cute. I
Yeah.
would be very into that.
It was fun and it was so funny because it always give you a smile when you went by, right?
That's what you need in life. You need smiley face sunflowers. I'm like, I'm gonna do this next time.
Yeah,
Next
just
time I
whenever
grow
they
them.
go to seed, just take the little guys out or the little before they start to be a seed. Yeah. It's
I love
like
it.
yeah, it was just fun and it just makes you happy. I don't know.
Yeah, you no, we need that. We need levity and joy. Just for the joy of it. Why not?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, we need silly things in life that it's just simple, right?
Yes. Yes, yes, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, I totally appreciate you in this conversation.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on here. I really appreciate your time and your wisdom.
Yeah.
And I loved reconnecting with you because I love your face and your
Mm,
energy.
I love your face and your energy. I know. It's like so wild, the physical distance. I'm like, I'm down here in the Southwest, you're all the way up there. And I'm like, but I'm like, what is distance? What is time?
Right?
People are your people. Like it's so cool. I have friends all over the world and I just like love to I think about my friends like bouquets of flowers, honestly.
Aw.
In my bundle, I'm like, wow, I'm carrying such a big bouquet, like, of
Yeah,
different radiant blooms from everywhere. Not to be cheesy, like I literally think about friendship like this. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so like, rainbow, like it's the diversity is
yeah,
incredible. And getting like as far as like talking about community, like getting to learn from people and getting to connect with people from all over is such a gift. So yeah, thank you, thank you.
of course. Yeah, that's what I love about. There's things to love and hate about like social media and like online things, but
Yeah,
like, you think of this, you would never would have made this connection if there wasn't online. So,
absolutely.
yeah, no,
It's
thank you.
incredible.
Thank you so much, Vanessa.
Thank you.